Today we're going to be talking about selling, and I'm going to show you how selling is as easy as ABC 1, 2, 3. But first, here's a message from our sponsors. I'm Phil from Tech for Techs. Why should you trust me compared to a lot of the other YouTube presenters out there? Well, in basics, I'm a real business owner, and without getting too big-headed about it, I've actually won lots of local and national awards. All the tips and tricks and ideas I'm giving you today are all things that I use or have used in the past for my own business. Please support this channel by subscribing. The more subscribers we get, the more content we can release and the more often we can do it. Good and bad experiences aside, the chances when you go out and purchase something, it's going to be from someone you have never met before. Can you trust them? Will they rip you off? Will they pressure you to buy something before you're ready and before you're happy? Worst of all, will you end up going home and regretting buying the item you did? Regret spending that money and regretting even going in that shop altogether? Just do what you like. An Eskimo won't buy more snow unless they're completely happy. And that's the issue. Selling isn't about flogging. It isn't dirty and it isn't underhanded. Selling is about helping people reach the point where they want to buy something. It's about talking to people. It's about advising people about their decision. Especially if it's tech related, this becomes even more important. Whether you're dealing with a know-it-all, someone who hasn't even got a clue, or someone who's just plain scared. Every customer needs helping. Every customer needs to leave you not just thinking they've bought the right thing. They actually have to have bought the right thing. The first step. The first step of any sale is when you meet the customer. And as always, first impressions matter. But you may say why? Because the customer has decided to call or visit you anyway, and they may come to you through a recommendation. Would you want to humiliate them by making them realise their decision was misplaced? Yet so many independent retailers do this through their welcome, or lack of welcome. Many independent sellers will hide behind the counter and you'll just get hi or how can we help you, and they'll basically hide and not come to you. That first of all is standoffish, so the customer is going to be standoffish. You want the customer to say to themselves, I thought they would be good, and yes they are. This doesn't mean you have to go to the customer and slap them on the back and kiss them on the cheek and so forth. Too much of a greeting can also be bad. A simple hello as a customer walks through the door is a good start. You can further confirm their decision by making sure you have a basic uniform, because it makes you look professional. If you don't have a basic uniform, make sure you look smart. And by the way, so this is something not many people know, but that a friendly greeting can actually reduce theft. Just looking. Make sure your signs and information are helpful and well laid out. That way the customer can find what they need without you interfering too much. After the customer's been in the store for a few seconds, you could say to them, hello, how can I help you? Are you just browsing or can I help? That's £7.50 please. So the customer comes to the counter. He's found the item he wants. He gives it you, you charge him, he pays, and he walks away with his new product. You may say, hey, I've sold something, that's brilliant, but actually, you weren't helpful. You could have asked the customer, is you sure, is that what you need? Is it the right size, is it the right item, or do you know what you're going to be using it for? The customer may have accidentally picked up a wrong type of device. For example, like in our industry, mice, you can get USB mice with a USB connection, and also ones that have got a PS2 connection. And then on top of that, you've got ones that are wireless and ones that are aimed at gaming and different things like that. The customer could have easily bought the wrong item, and because you didn't ask him at the counter what he was going to use it for, or are you sure you've got the right thing, you could potentially cause yourself a bad sale. That customer could go home and then say to all his friends, oh, they sold me the wrong thing, it didn't work, and so forth, just because the customer didn't understand what he was buying and you didn't advise him on what would be the best option. You could ask them something simple like, is this mouse for a friend or family member? Is it for yourself? Is it a present gift? Or something along that lines. And then they'll turn around and say, oh, it's for me, I'm using it for XYZ. And then you could say, well, actually, if you're using it for XYZ, you may be better with this one over here. It's an option for you to A, upsell, or at least advise the customer and give him the right item for what he needs. He may say, anyway, I want this one anyway. But you could potentially save a customer making the wrong decision. Also, the customer may not realise that you may need to buy batteries or a longer cable so he can fit it and stuff. So it's best to make sure you check with the customer. It's a way of you being able to A, upsell, but again making sure that customer is happy when they leave and when they actually get to use their device or item they have bought. Because the last thing you want when they get home is for them to be disappointed, mad, or even angry at you or your company. They'll think you care more about taking their money than actually about the customer. Will they then tell their friends you're a great shop? Probably not. They're not going to recommend you at all, and more than likely you'll never see them again. All because you couldn't, wouldn't, didn't want to talk to them. Would you like fries with that? Now, no one expects you to be the life and the soul of the party. But by keeping your mouth shut and not finding why the customer wanted that mouse, you have done some considerable damage to your reputation of your business and yourself. By keeping your mouth shut, you've also lost the opportunity for further sales and potentially further custom and recommendations. You could have sold the extra batteries which were needed, an extension cable if a cable was needed. You could have potentially sold extra things to go with that as well. The customer could have just bought a standard cabled mouse. He may not have realised he could have purchased a wireless mouse or a Bluetooth mouse depending on the device he's using it for. So you've missed out on an upsale. Just as selling isn't a devious practice, neither is upselling or cross-selling. Sure, they do absolutely result in you getting more money or getting the customer to spend more money. But that is not the point. You try and upsell and cross-sell to a customer to avoid them from disappointment and humiliation. You try and upsell and cross-sell to them to avoid them that journey in the future. You try to upsell and cross-sell to customers to prove that you are giving a great service. The very thing you should pride yourself in. What will you use it for? Every time a customer comes in and buys something, you need to make sure that they've bought the right thing and that they actually don't need anything else. All it takes is a question to start that right conversation. You could say something like, that's interesting. People who usually buy this as well. And then you add, can I ask what you're buying it for? Can I make a suggestion? Many customers visit with a clear view of what they want to purchase. But what they think they need is actually what they do need. Here's a case in point. In a recent mystery shop, the mystery shopper posed as a consultant, worried about his old computer and looking for a new one. During the mystery shop, at no one point did the salesperson ask, do you really need a new computer, or do you want us to check in your old one and have a look at it to see if we can sort the problem? Neither was he asked, would you prefer a refurbished model or a different model than the one he had in mind? Both of these would have been possible options, and by not doing that, It's shown that the salesperson is not looking out for the customer, and that all the salesperson is wanting to do is sell. Once the customer has actually got confidence in you, once you have actually asked these questions, which may need, and pointed out advice, the chances they're probably going to want to spend more anyway, especially in the long run. No, batteries are extra. No one wants to feel like they've been led down the wrong path. If a customer gets a hint or a whiff of that you're leading them down that wrong path, you have a huge problem. You must be perceived as trustworthy. So if the item you're selling doesn't come with batteries and specifically needs them, make sure you point them out. So if the item doesn't come with batteries and it needs it, make sure you point that out to the customer. If they're buying something which they presume something else may come with it, make sure you point that out. For example, in our trade, most people think Microsoft Office comes included with Microsoft Windows, where it does not. So you need to make sure the customer understands exactly what they are getting. These things may sound obvious, but you have to make sure the customer hears, and not only hears, but understands what you're telling them, because specifically in the tech trade, customers can get very confused and not understand and just agree with you because they want to, well, get out of there or complete the sale. You don't know how they feel and the pressure they're under. They're talking to a total stranger who they could potentially be spending a lot of money with. Or they could just be in a real hurry. Try and keep what you're telling them simple and make sure they get what you're saying. It's all about showing you care. Do you want a good kicking? The common thing is, what most store people hear is, "That's a bit expensive." From my own experience, I know about that obvious price objection. It's the one that comes the most often, and it's also the one that comes most unwelcome. And because of all these things, you need to be good at dealing with it. So you need to know how much your competitors actually charge. If you don't, get ready for the pain. You need to do whatever it takes to mystery shop or do a price comparison on a website or whatever it is to compare your prices to somewhere else. And you also need to understand what you're comparing yourself against. For example, if it's a service, your service may give more than the other person's service does. So you need to point that out. So if Joe Bloggs comes in and says, "I'm not paying £50 for my computers to be serviced," they do it down the road for 35, you can straight away turn around and say, "Yes, but our service includes a full internal, external clean. We also check the registry, we do this, that and the other. And I'm pretty sure the other place down the road doesn't do all these things. So when you actually get your service done with us, you're getting a real service done." Compared to what? You'll never handle any objection without knowing the full facts. So rather than thinking, how much money can I knock off the price of this, before the next customer comes in and says, "That is expensive," your thoughts should be, "My prices are good, so what are they comparing me to?" Do not meet a price objection by giving in. You need to know the facts before doing anything. They could just be trying it on. It's a common buying ploy, and lots of people use it to try and get reduction. Have they actually found a like-for-like direct comparison of the item you're selling? Or have they found one what they think's the same? For example, in our trade, you can get lots of laptops that look the same, but the insides are different. Just like with cars, you can go out or buy a, let's say, a Ford Focus. There's lots of different models. They may look all the same from the outside, but it may have different engines, one may have aircon, and all the other bits and bobs, but they look identical from the outside. They may be comparing a model which is completely different to what you're selling. So make sure you take a deep breath and say, compared to what? When they say you're expensive. Or even simpler, just ask, why? I can get it for £50 less. This is actually where you could actually make some money or actually do some sort of deal. And when I say that, I don't mean knock £50 off to match the price. You could ask them something simple like, what do you actually get for this amount of money? And they'd say, oh yeah, I get a laptop, but I've got to spend £110 to get it set up. Then I've got to buy security for an extra £50. And then I've got to buy this, that, and adding it all together, the true cost of the item they are buying could be a lot more than the actual price you're selling it for. So you could actually potentially sell the item for a lot less than the full price they're actually buying it for. So okay, your laptop, let's say you're selling, is £50 more, but you could potentially offer to do the service at a lot less price. You probably do the service, or the setup should I say, at a lower price anyway. So this is where you can compete. Some of the big stores will always be cheaper no matter what you do because they buy in bulk, but what they can't do is offer the services and include the things you do. For example, you could throw in the security for free and so forth and say, well, that's £50 worth of stuff, I'm giving you free security. It may only cost you a few pounds. So in all reality, for a few pounds you're making the customer feel like they've saved £50 because they haven't needed to go out and buy that. You could potentially do that in, obviously, if you sell clothes or something like that. You could potentially say, well, we included with this dress or whatever, we'll include this belt or this bags or shoes or whatever, depending on obviously the price of the item you're doing. That way it's hard for people to compare your like for like. And don't forget, some of the big brands do missell things in certain ways. They do a lot of these discount sales where, oh yeah, this item was £600, it's now £500 or even £300, and in a lot of cases that item was never worth that price in the first case. They probably stuck it in a store somewhere for so many weeks, what no one goes to, in a corner for that price, and then they've suddenly gone, right, it's now reduced to £300 to get more sales. More than likely that item has never been worth that, and the proper true value is £300. Another thing we've seen is in some cases the big retail stores will actually get special model numbers on the products. So you'll see them on TV and they'll say, oh, we're the only ones who sell this for this price with this model number. That's because they're the only people who sell that model number, because the manufacturer changed the model number for them specifically to sell. But you could potentially get something which is identical with a slightly different model number, but you could actually sell it for cheaper. So when they say, yes, it's the cheapest wherever, is it the cheapest wherever, or is it just because you're the only ones who sell it? So in basics, think of simple ways to stop price objections in their tracks. Getting the customer over the line. So overall, the customer thinks they're giving me a better deal. And you can smell the sale. They're so nearly there, but they're just not buying. What do? Well, this is another time you have to take that deep breath. Now is not the time to jump in with those discounts or anything else that may make you seem nervous. If you do, you'll unravel everything. What you do is make the customer think. If you do offer a discount, you make the customer think, hey, 1 minute, why are they suddenly offering a discount? Why are they worried? Is their business sound? Is there something they're not telling me about the product I'm buying? If the customer's not buying, they're not yet totally convinced. And what you need to do is find out why. And remember, it's your job to make them happy to buy. Is there anything else you'd need to know? Professional people call it closing. Others might call it oiling the wheels. But in basics, you need to prompt the customer to make the decision. So break that silence and ask the customer, I can see you like the look of this. Is there anything else I can help you with, or any other questions you have about the product? That isn't pressure. It's an open question that shows you have empathy and the customer's best interests at heart. It will get a response and the opportunity you need. Make an offer. Offers are the lifeblood of retail. They give people reasons to visit or return. They can be used to create footfall, get returning customers to come back in, and get you sales opportunities. From a simple offer like a free service or a free coffee or whatever it may be, to a time-bound discount on a specific item if another product is purchased. So build an offer list of around about 6 items that you can use when you need them. If it's quiet, use the footfall generators like the free coffee or the free service, health check, whatever it may be. If you're trying to get your current customers to purchase something, then use that exclusive discount. While obviously offers need thinking through before you offer them. But the idea is you have them in your back pocket and are there ready to use if you need them. Go on, you know you want to. Sometimes a customer will end with different options available to them. Do they buy the mouse? Do they buy the one with which needs batteries, which is wireless? Do they buy the extension cable, and so forth? You've discussed the advantages and disadvantages of all the options with the customer, as well as the costs and ongoing costs. For example, the mouse that needs batteries will need batteries every so often. But the customer's hesitant. Should you tell them which option they should go for? What matters is you want the customer to believe that you're looking after their best interests. So while it's right to advise them on products, it's wrong for you to spend their money. You can further reinforce your trustworthiness in these situations by simply asking, so what would you like to do? And if they do then ask your opinion, you then do have permission to tell them what you would purchase yourself. So hopefully now you have made that sale. But remember these tips, even write them all down, that you need to basically get that customer to trust you. You need to make that customer feel happy. If the customer is not happy, they will not spend, purchase or anything, and it could potentially cause a negative for your business if they go home feeling angry because they could go and tell their friends that you ripped them off even though you potentially did nothing wrong and they just came in and bought something that they thought they needed which they actually didn't. If you would like to see ways to get new customers to your store, click on this little exclamation mark just up here somewhere, and that will basically tell you how to get customers for you either a low cost or for potentially free. Please support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button just around about here. It's totally free to do, won't cost you a penny, but the more subscribers we get, the more of these videos we can actually do, and the more videos we do is more advice for you. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. Don't forget to press the subscribe button over here. That way you'll get all the latest news and all the reviews we do on a weekly basis. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.